When things are going well, how easy is it to do the habits, get up at 5 a.m, go to the gym, eat well? When things get hard, that's when the difference comes.
We were reported to the authorities, weren't we? And obviously it was you that took the phone call, so I'll let you tell the story.
This is a good one. Everything that happens to you in business is your fault, and it's a result of the actions you've taken. As soon as you take ownership for absolutely everything that happens, then you can dictate what happens next time.
Hormozy said micromanagement is just a sign that you're not hiring A players, because micromanagement effectively means you think you can do their job better than them. Britt, my partner, she's not started a $10 million business, but she's made me so much better in so many areas of my life. And then we spend time with people like Ryan Tuckwood and Deck from Ex-Recruiter. They have done the business side of things, so they lift us in that area. As long as you've got 5 people around you that you can categorically say they are way better than me at 1 or 2 things here, then you know that you're on the right track.
Welcome back to the Two Blokes One Business podcast with Adam Powell and Harvey Rivers.
Yeah, the boys are back. We normally do like every other episode where we do one with a guest, super impressive person, and then me and Ads come in and talk somewhat half sense. But we had to do 2 back-to-back guest episodes. We fucked it, didn't we?
We properly fucked it. We sat there for an hour, talk shit like we do. As soon as we stopped pressing record, we got to the end of it and we're like, that was shit.
Like actually rubbish.
Yeah.
I reckon 45 minutes in, I was going, I reckon we're waffling a bit here. And then as soon as we hit pause, stop, you were just like, what do you think, mate? I was like, nah, terrible. So
we go again. One thing we're about is quality. And this is going to be a quality episode today.
We just want our listeners to get so many takeaways that we've got to give you top tier stuff. And talking of top tier quality, if you're wondering that Adam's audio sounds a little bit different, or if you're watching on YouTube, the paneling in the background looks rather impressive. We've invested all our pocket money in some, what's it called?
Acoustic wall paneling.
Acoustic wall paneling installed by Mr. Buck, the trusty carpenter who doesn't like carpentry. But yeah, he's got it on. It fucking looks good, doesn't it?
Mate, I'm actually stoked with it. We look like a proper outfit, bit by bit. I think we need one more sofa, and then we're up there with the best of them.
Yeah, I'll take that, mate.
What else has been going on there, mate? It's obviously been a busy few weeks. It's been a couple of weeks since we caught up. Obviously having 2 guests back to back.
Yeah, we had a complaint against us. We were reported to the authorities, weren't we? And obviously it was you that took the phone call, so I'll probably let you tell the story.
This is a good one. So I had a couple of missed calls come in, the 07 number. So I was like, that can wait. Got better things to do. And then he left a message. And you know the new iPhone update where you can like see the message that's being left and it comes up in words?
Oh, the transcript, transcription.
It was, hey, I'm Troy from the Queensland Government Labour Hire Licensing Compliance Unit.
What did you think
I'm
then?
going, oh, for fuck, what's Andy done? I was saying, this is the end. Andy's finally fucked it. So I was like, shit, called him back. Hey, Troy, got your message. What's going on? He goes, hey, I'm Troy from the Queensland Government Labour Hire Licensing and Compliance Unit. So yeah, I've got that for the message.
Yeah, I'm already nervous. Thanks for repeating that, mate.
I said, how can I help, Troy? And my game plan with this kind of thing is always be over friendly and over nice. So if there is a decision that could go either way, hopefully by charming him up, it goes our way.
Yeah.
So what's the issue, mate? How can I help? Oh, we've had a complaint that you guys are running a labour hire business. And I said, oh, okay. He goes, is that the case? I said, yeah, it is. Yeah. He goes, oh, have you got a labour hire license? I said, no, we don't know. And
this isn't off to a great start, is it, Troy?
Yeah. And I said, but, Troy, we do partner with Ex-Recruiter. They hold the labour hire license. So we are squeaky clean. Straight away, I think you spoke to the guys over there before. So we understood the mechanics of it and how it all works. Knows it is all above board.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey, Troy, appreciate you got to follow this stuff up. He said when they do get complaints, they have to action them, which is obviously what you want your governing bodies to do, I guess. Try to say, who would complain? Like who would we be affecting, right? So I'm thinking either it's an old employer, which I think that's kind of died down a bit now. I think we're old news in their world.
They got bigger things.
Yeah.
We're not that important to them.
Yeah. It could be a worker, but again, everyone gets paid on time. I don't really know why there might be. So what we kind of settled on, and this is not with Troy because Troy's not allowed to tell me, I think it's another labour hire company who potentially we might have kicked them off their site because we're supplying that site. And they've gone, who the fuck are Harwell? Jumped on whatever register there is, seeing we haven't got a labour hire licence and thought it was a lucky day.
Yeah, and I think that's the most likely because Andy Hanna has recently been very, very vocal about sites and big builders that he's winning over. And I think he's got a mental list and he's just ticking them off one at a time. So I guess it means we're doing something right, potentially.
Oh, we walked out. I said, boys, you don't believe this. Ran through exactly what I ran through, and it was cheese. It was like we just got a 90th minute winner. Everyone's going, get in. It means you have an impact, right?
Yeah.
Someone's got to take time out of their day to go, oh, they haven't got a labour hire licence. One, they're probably a bit sad. And two, we've rattled them. We've absolutely got them.
Yeah, and I remember you going like, oh, shall I do a LinkedIn post about this? And I was like, no. I was like, that's what they want. I was like, we just keep doing what we're doing, mate. And,
just keep ticking.
Yeah.
And then the other one, mate, the biggest of all out of these three catch-ups, we got Rosie with us.
Yeah. Rosie is Harwell's first ever digital marketing specialist.
We just made that name. I think it's social media coordinator.
Yeah. I think she's also the podcast producer, manager, personal brand expert. She's behind the camera. Any other jobs you're doing for us?
Yeah.
Website emails.
Yeah, website emails, fucking everything.
Direct messages.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hell of a job.
Yeah. Don't put too many tasks in there. We can't hire anyone else.
One thing I loved when we first sat down with Rosie, because we sat down with a couple of people before to say, look, this is what we think we need. What do you think? And I think we scared the shit out of a couple of people with how much we think there is currently to do and then what's coming up. Like there's so much going on behind the scenes. I don't know how much we should share or not, but there's shitloads, right? And Rosie was the first and the only person to sit there with a big smile on her face going, let's absolutely have it. She was excited as we were about what's to come, rather than got a bit scared by the level of it as well.
Yeah, you saw some of a couple of the people we sat down with initially, like you could see them sitting back in their seat going like, oh my God, these two, one are off their absolute bananas. And two, this sounds like the role of like 3 or 4 people. Rosie was just like, no, I reckon we can do that. We can, I've never done that part before, but we'll just learn that and crack on. And that's really what we've kind of learned is that we just want people that are keen to muck in and come on the journey. Like we weren't perfect when we started this journey as business owners. We're still nowhere near perfect now, but we've got the attitude of wanting to get better, wanting to learn and just go along the journey. And we just need people that buy into the vision of Harwell and are just like, yeah, I'll strap in, I'll put my gum shield in, my tin hat on, let's go.
Machine pad.
Yeah, machinies on, let's have it.
And look, this is day 2, right? But already I'm so excited about the journey we're going to go on. And it's just a little bits and pieces that we've got no idea about of little Canva templates and fucking...
Mate, you can't even use the new Outlook. So that shows our capability.
Even all the logins, mate. We've got a OneNote now with all the username and passwords to all the different things we've signed up for. Before, it's like, shit, have you got it now? Have you? Nah. Yeah, we have. I haven't told you about that yet. But yeah, we do. So that's real good.
Look at that.
So we'll seriously watch this space because if you think you've seen a fair bit of us so far, it's about to get 10x'd.
Well, why don't we just 100x that?
That's good.
God.
But what are we talking about today, mate? This is one where we really had a practice go because this is when we fucked up. So we do think we've done a lot more prep. We think it's going to be a quality app, but what are we talking about?
Today we're talking about A players, and that is everything to do with A players. So that's probably, we'll naturally talk about some recruitment, how you find A players. We'll probably dig in more depth to what actually makes an A player. We've got 3 key pillars and then kind of some subtopics within those pillars so we can really get nice and into the detail on this one. And then also a lot of people are probably thinking, how do I keep my A players? Because ultimately A players are amazing because they push the business on, but really someone's not an A player if you're not worried about losing them. We've got a few of those guys here at Harwell. So it's what can we do to make sure that we keep them on board for the foreseeable?
I think kicking off, and this is one thing we've done a massive journey on for the last couple of years, is probably lifestyle. Right, I know it wasn't always the case. We were the definition of a weekend offender a few years back.
I reckon you had some of the T-shirts as well at some point.
I got the tattoo on my ribs, I think.
Oh, God.
But you get to Friday Arva, you'd knock off early, straight, get the jugs in, smack a couple of them and the world's your oyster, right? Which was good fun, and it still is good fun when we do kind of get stuck in. But the level of habits and structure and lifestyle we've got now, yes, it's a nice to have, but it's actually a must have. There's no way we can get through all of the shit we need to do on a week to week basis. We can't be a billing recruiter whilst also managing the team, whilst also growing the business, doing the podcasts, going to networking events. Like, the list really doesn't stop. And if we didn't have the right lifestyle, we wouldn't have the energy to actually go and do half the things we already do.
Yeah, I think it's a really easy place to start. Is anyone listening to this, think of all the super, super successful people that you know. I'd like to hedge my bets that 99.9% out of those people all have a really solid routine. Yes, they'll have a release valve and they'll have fun at times, but I'd say most of their week or month is structured so rigidly, and they have routines that they stick by, and they've got just a base or a core way of operating that means they're at optimum output for as much time as possible.
So healthy body is healthy mind, right? And healthy mind is healthy body as well. It kind of goes both ways. And I think looking after yourself physically, it's got so many benefits, which everyone already knows the answer to, right? And I think you kind of take them for granted a little bit until you lose some of that capability of your body. If you get an injury or if you get a bit sick, and then you go, shit, actually, how lucky am I to have a fully functioning body where I can go for a nice long walk, I can work out 5 times a week. But what does it do for you, Harv? Because you're the biggest advocate of training, yes, for physical health, but also for mental health as well.
Yeah, I think there's probably 2 sectors to dig into, because we'll dive straight into that, how I think physical exercise and my physical health is a huge impact on having a positive mental health. But one thing that we've delved into a lot more recently is probably training our mental health a little bit more, and that's working with people like Jess, who we've had on the podcast. Even next week's guest does a lot around that as well. Even Nan Baldwin, I think more recently we've put a focus on training your mental health and actually looking after that side of things. But I think that the impact of physical health and a good physical routine and exercise can have on someone is astounding. Like I might have said on a previous podcast, I cannot believe the first thing that people who go to a doctor and say, hey, I'm depressed or I've got these mental health issues, I cannot believe the first thing that is not prescribed is a healthy diet and a healthy exercise program. Because I've been there myself, where I'm making bad lifestyle choices, I'm not working out, I'm not going to the gym, and my mental health is in pieces. But as soon as you start to pull those things back in line, get back into your gym routine, that lifts you. And then because you're in your gym routine, it's then a knock-on effect. I eat better because I feel good from the gym and I want to see more impact from the gym. And then when I'm gymming more and I'm eating better, I decide not to go out on a weekend. And on my Sunday, I'll go and do a rainforest walk instead. It all comes hand in hand. So it really upsets me. And it happened to me. I went to the doctor and they said, yeah, you diagnosed with mild signs of depression and a couple of other things. I could just give you these tablets to make you feel better. And I was like,
it's lazy.
I was like, wow, are you serious? Well, really, it was kind of the head wobble I needed, where I went home and I reflected. I was like, well, that's pretty bad. Like, he's just tried to put me on medication here.
Do you ever get off that stuff? Like, I'm probably a bit naive talking about this without really knowing my stuff here, but it seems like it's a slippery slope, right? And then next time you feel a bit sad or depressed, I'll just take some more of these and you'll feel better.
Yeah, I think it's a very sensitive topic, because there are some people with some serious mental health issues that probably do need the medication. But from people I've spoken to who have been on meds before, they've all said, don't do it. And I think that was my kind of head wobble moment, where I got home and I was like, oh, this is bad. But yes, those meds would help, but there's so many things you're not doing in your personal lifestyle that could potentially impact you and make you feel better. And that's where I just went, I can change so many things in my routine to help.
I think one of the things all of that gives you, right? You're training well, you're eating well, you're sleeping well because you're tired. It's all about your energy, right? It gives you maximum energy to go and perform the tasks you need to do, to get the result you want to achieve, to live the life you want to live, right? So let's talk about managing energy, because I think that's a point now in our journey where that's really important. There's a favorite quote. Here's another one for you. Opportunities come disguised as distractions. No?
Wow.
Fuck, it's the other way around. I always do this. Distractions come disguised as opportunities.
Is that the right way around?
That definitely is, yeah. Because
Yeah.
they are a distraction, but they look like an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. The other way around. Wouldn't
Fuck's sake. I honestly thought I had that as well. I'm so confident. Hopefully that makes sense. So what I mean by that is there's so much stuff that we do and so much more stuff we could do, which just takes energy out of you. Some of it you have to do. Some of it is important to run a business, manage a team. You can't get away from it, right? And the impact of not doing it is way more than the impact of doing it. But there's other things where they take your energy, they don't really generate any revenue, and you don't really enjoy them either. So how can you look at outsourcing a lot of that stuff? And Matt Sharma did an awesome explanation of this on what he's done with his life. And he kind of mapped out his full week in 15-minute slots. So Monday morning might be gym, whatever else. And then throughout the full week, when he's got everything written down, taking the bins out, cooking, cleaning, picking the kids up, whatever it is, he put a green or a red over that task. Green if it gave him energy, red if it zapped his energy. Or green if he enjoyed doing it, red if he didn't want to do it. And then after he's got that, then he'd also put a dollar figure. Say you had $1 figure, that means it's a low revenue generating task. If there was 3, that's something like a sales call, speaking to a client, which has the potential to generate a lot of money for your business or for your life. And the name of the game then is to get rid of all of the red single dollar tasks, which for him, I think he said was cooking his meals, cleaning the house, doing the grocery shopping, things that he doesn't want to do. They don't make him any money by doing it, but to maintain your energy, you've got to be eating well. You've got to be doing those little bits and pieces, which for me was an absolute game changer. I'm going to ask you the question now, mate. How the hell do you manage your energy whilst doing all the stuff I'm doing? But then you've also got a 2-year-old daughter and another one on the way.
Caffeine. No, no, I'm actually pretty good. I only have 1 coffee a day.
Yeah, because if you have 2, you get kicked out of the office.
Oh, yes. I go all Tourette's mode. It's just like, mate, get out of here. I think it's changing your mindset on some of those tasks. Like a lot of people will say, oh my God, like you up at 4 a.m, you go to the gym, you're in the office by 7, you work a crazy 10-hour day where you don't stop. And then you go straight home and it's into dinner time with the little one, you know, spend as much time with her as possible, then bath time, put her to bed. And then before you know it, it's 8 o'clock and it's okay, or probably sit down and chill for a little bit and then go to sleep. But it's just how you view those tasks. Like between my routine and your routine, the only difference is you can probably go home, have dinner and just chill out and do what you want. I go home and become dad. But that's one of my favorite parts of the day. Like it's back to Matt Sharma's example of what are those tasks that are green tasks and red tasks. Well, coming home and spending time with Blake and, you know, reading books with her, that's a big green task for me. So if anything, it's been my superpower a little bit, becoming a dad, because I think it's given me energy. I love being a dad, and some of the things, it just makes you have a different outlook on life. So I think it's a good lesson to anyone. Yes, that's very, very easy. Being a parent is the best thing ever. And now you're a little baby and they give you so much life and energy. But can you change your mindset on some of those tasks? Because a lot of people would go home, and if they perhaps didn't have the rest of their lifestyle in check and they had a big weekend, it would be a task to go home, and it would be a chore to go home and do bath time when she's having an absolute crazy day. But I think when other things in your life are in check, you see things in a different life. It's just back to that knock-on effect, mate. Like,
mate, this reminds me of a conversation we had. This is probably getting a little bit deep now. Probably a couple of years ago when we were partying, and probably a bit too much. And it was having those big weekends and then coming into the week, the little simple things that you enjoy, walking at the beach, going for sunrise, they turn into a fucking ball ache. Because you've got to get out of bed. You don't really want to. You don't truly appreciate. Fuck, I'm standing in the middle of winter on the Gold Coast. The sun's rising. I'm at the ocean. I've got my dog Murphy with me. How good. Whereas when you've had that big weekend, you probably serotonin's taken an absolute battering. So it is just a chore. You know, you sat there going like, fuck, I'd rather just be in bed or on my phone scrolling, doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think that is the perfect example of how a solid lifestyle can affect your lives. Like, let's be honest, 3 years ago, we were just senior recruitment consultants in a big agency. We wanted to do well and earn good money, but we were living for the weekend. Like, we knew we wanted to start a business one day, but it was probably 10 years down the line. I think we probably made slight changes in our lifestyle along the way. It brings everything a bit more forward. You have more confidence. You have a bit more balls about you as well to go and make those risks. And then all of a sudden, okay, now we're doing the business and it started really well. Now we're going to hire people. Like, everything just gets put on ×2 speed. And now we're sat here 2.5, 3 years later with a team of, 8, soon to be 9, and we're doing a podcast. I think probably the main catalyst for that journey we've been on is probably just lifestyle. Yes, we've done a lot of personal development in other areas.
But again, you haven't got the energy, the time, money is probably not the answer to do that stuff if you are spending 30 hours in the pub on the weekend.
Simple as that.
What are the
stop it there?
We talk a lot about us, and I guess by talking about us on an A player episode, we're kind of calling ourselves A players, which is what it is. It's my podcast. What are the non-negotiables of an A player? What are the habits that they do day in, day out, week in, week out to maintain that level of performance across any industry?
I think it's truly knowing yourself. So it's, again, back to those red and green tasks, knowing what things give you energy, what things affect you. For us, it's, okay, I know going out and having a massive weekend absolutely ruins me. And it's minimizing the shit that makes you underperform and maximizing the stuff that makes you perform. And I think that comes from a good, solid morning routine. There's Nan Baldwin talks so well about it. There's nothing that sets you up better for the day than a good, solid morning routine.
Pop quiz. What's the Nan Baldwin way to win the morning?
So it's get up, no phone screen, because the way the light hits your eyes and you just start toxifying your brain with other shit like people on Instagram and whatnot. It's influencing your decisions for the day already. Sunlight 10 before 10.
Lovely.
Something to do with the sunlight in the morning, the angle it's at and the UV rays has a really positive impact when it hits your eyes and goes into your brain. And then the other one's exercise. Your body, move your mind.
There's one you've missed.
Nutrition.
Easy one, kind of.
Oh, God.
Just water. 600 mils of water.
Yeah.
I think Nam would be proud of that. 3 out of 4.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Cheers, Nam.
Cheers, Nam.
You're a legend.
So the morning routine is so important, right? And what is yours, mate? If they want to be high performance Harvey, sat at home, what do they need to do?
High performance Harv. 4 a.m. alarm. That doesn't sound as impressive as what it is. I'm asleep by 8:30 every night. Like, I'm not some freak that manages to sleep 6 hours a night. I just know that my body and the way my lifestyle works, I shift my day a little bit further forward. I'm up at 4. I'm in the gym or doing a run by 4:30, 4:45. Home by 6. Take the dog for a walk, get showered, spend a bit of time with the fam. Into work by 7. That gives us a nice hour to get our stuff done, all the businessy stuff done before the team come in, and then it's hecticness of team meetings, sales calls, sales meetings, stuff like that. I could probably get the bulk of my work done or my productivity done, or at least the high energy tasks in the morning before lunch, have lunch, and then I kind of my afternoon's a bit more strategy based, I think. So whether it's catching up on admin tasks, sussing out prospecting lists, I know that I do my best work in terms of in front of people in the morning. So that's why I try and stack my day. And then I go home, dinner, relax, bedtime by 8:30. As long as you get 7 hours sleep, I'm pretty solid.
Do you find routines boring or not? Because I used to struggle with this. I used to want to have a spontaneous life. I used to want to be able to go, nah, fuck it, I'm doing this because I want to. I've got the freedom. As now, I fucking love a routine. I think I've had the same breakfast for the last 6 years. Like, I just have smoothie, wraps, because I know it's good for me. I haven't got to think about what I want in the morning. It's obviously cheaper because you prep it and batch it. Do you think it's boring, mate? Are we old souls in young bodies, or is it just the way you've got to get to if you want to maintain the habits, do you think?
Depends what sort of person you are. Like, I know you joke that you think I'm probably mildly autistic, which is why I thrive on a routine and absolutely love that structure in my life. It's quite funny because you like that. You liked being a bit more of a free spirit, but yeah, you have eaten the same thing for the last 6 years. Like, I could tell you at the start of the day exactly what this guy's going to eat for the day. It's just finding what you like. I know there are some people out there that absolutely hate routine, but then when you look into it, we're talking about A players here. Are they A players? Probably not.
Let's segue into diet then, mate, because diet's, well, probably more important than what you're doing in the gym or what you're doing pounding the pavements. What's the right diet for someone who wants to be an A player? So not necessarily fucking shredded six-pack, but if they want to be an A player, have energy to do all of the fun tasks in life and all the revenue-generating tasks in life.
For me, it's just balance and quality. Like, I know I was an absolute sucker. When I was in England, it was all about getting your set of abs for your 7-day holiday in Magaluf once a year. And you do your 12-week shred, and I'd starve myself and I'd be eating all the proper low fat, low sugar stuff, which is just full of crap. Britt, my partner's been an absolute revelation for me in that side of the world. We joke and call her a bit of a wizard, but she's just all about eating a nutritious diet, whole foods, really balanced. She doesn't count calories. She just eats a good variety of healthy foods. Make sure you got veggies, fruit, carbs, protein all the time. And it's just as simple as that. I think when I've taken it out from under the microscope, my diet's probably got a bit better and my performance has benefited from that.
I do remember when you moved over here. I hadn't seen you in a few years and you were absolutely shredded. And the last time I saw you, you were a fat goalkeeper.
Mate, it was ridiculous, but it's great. And from the outside looking in, people go, wow, like he's absolutely shredded. What a great bloke. But really, I was eating 1,300 calories a day. I was working on a roof, burning probably 4,000. I was carrying packs of slates on my shoulder, walking up the battens on the roof where you have to be quite careful so you don't go through the lining. And I'd get to the top of the roof and you're so far, yes, there's scaffolding, but you're so far up and I'm going dizzy, like literally nearly blacking out because my body's not fueled enough. I'd come home and I'd be in physical pain.
Wow.
Because I was in such a calorie deficit. I'd have dinner at like 5 o'clock and go to sleep by like 6:30 because when I was sleeping, it wasn't hurting. Like that is fucking toxic.
Yeah, big time.
So that shift in my diet and mentality, I've probably seen the bad side of focusing on a diet too much. So now I'm a bit more relaxed with it.
Yeah, I think it's important for you, isn't it? You get quite obsessed with things.
Everything.
Yeah. Let's talk about alcohol as well, mate, because I think we kind of sound a little bit preachy sometimes that we don't get on the piss anymore, which we don't not get on the piss. Like you're probably a little bit better than I am. I kind of pencil them in throughout the year, right? So Christmas, had a good nudge. That cyclone, had a few beers there. Out of boredom, probably more than anything. Probably have a few in a couple of weeks. And then again, when we go away, right? So it's not like I don't drink at all. I think for me, it's just picking and choosing the moments. What about you, mate? What's your kind of structure with that? And what's your relationship now with alcohol? Now we've kind of scaled back these days.
Yeah, I kind of go on like mini sprints in a sense of not sprints on the booze, sprints off the booze. So like I knew coming into the start of this year, Britt was obviously going to be a lot more heavily pregnant. I needed to be a lot more present. We lost a couple of staff members. We gained a couple. We wanted to grow the business again. So I knew this was going to be a very hard period in terms of output. So I've gone, right, 6 months, no alcohol, really dial in. I think that 6 months finishes on the day I run the marathon. And you best believe I will be headbutting a fair few pints on that day. And then we'll go away on your bucks and I'll have a go again. And then I'll probably rein it back in. I've learned that my kind of relationship with alcohol now is I can enjoy it a bit more when it is for an event, but then I know, okay, now I'm going to pull it back in for 2 or 3 months. And then there's another event and I find I look forward to it a lot more. That's probably been my secret experience with it or secret trick. But what about you? You've obviously reined it in a lot. It's harder for you because you haven't got as much of a reason to rein it in, I guess. It's easy with a kid.
It feels easier now because because I feel so good physically. Like gym routine's awesome, eating really well. Obviously, being able to work out on a Sunday or do something on a Sunday because you're not in bed hungover. So now I'm almost scared of losing that feeling. And I know the impact it's going to have will probably spur me on to go even longer next time, which again, I don't think is a bad thing. But I just reminded myself then of Jack Delosa, one of the quotes he said, which was, if you know Jack Delosa, if you checked him out, you know the way he delivers his message is pretty brutal, right? Yeah. And he's basically said, you can't be an A player if you drink alcohol. The two just don't correlate, right? You can't lose 1 out of 7 days a week, or you can't lose X amount of hours of your week and still think you're an A player compared to somebody who doesn't drink and uses that time to get better, invest in the business, invest in relationships, which it is true, isn't it? It's a little bit hard to hear sometimes because it hits you home and you go, fuck, I think I'm an A player, but if I'm getting pissed every weekend, you can't be both.
And there would probably be people performing really well and are going out and getting drunk every weekend, and that's okay. But if we're talking about finding absolute peak performance, I would put everything I own on the fact that if that person cut alcohol out for 6 months, by month 2 or 3, they'd be going, wow, I thought I was performing, but I've unlocked another level. And there's a journey to it. I didn't just decide one day that I was going to stop and do these 6 month stints. It was a massive battle. And there were many times where I said, I'm not doing it anymore. And Friday comes around, I'm like, fuck it.
Shall we?
Here we go. So it is a journey in that sense. But I do think that's a massive, massive factor. People can curb that or cut it out in at least periods of time. They'll just watch their life improve drastically.
So, mate, I've got my diet sorted. I'm getting up early. I'm going to the gym. I'm eating well. I'm sleeping well. Life's good. What other gaps have I got to become an A player?
I think then it just bleeds into the mentality side of things. So that's the second point really that we're talking about today is you've got your lifestyle and your routine in check. Now can you create a bulletproof mentality around all of that? What do you think?
I think you're bang on. Because I think I'm just thinking then of people who are in incredible nick, in physical shape. Normally, they probably have a level of success in other areas of their life as well. And I think that comes down to discipline. I think discipline to go to the gym, eat well, do all those things you've just spoken about in your lifestyle. You don't just turn off your discipline when you go to work. Normally it carries over and that flows through as well. The resilience. I've had a bit of a shit day. Am I still going to go to the gym because I said I would? Or am I going to go home, get a Macca's and watch Netflix? That's a little micro decision which has a massive impact on the long-term progression that you go on, right? Because if you let yourself down on that Tuesday, Wednesday is probably going to be just as hard. So why not have another night on the sofa? Whereas if you don't let yourself get to Wednesday, the Tuesday you're at the gym, the Wednesday you're at the gym, the Thursday, and you flow on as well. And I think resilience is something you definitely develop. I don't think anyone's born resilient for the most part. I guess if you're born in some hectic situations, you probably have it. But it's definitely something you've got to learn. And I think for us, the way we've had to develop it super quick was through football. It's brutal back home. And looking back, if it was a company, there'd be fucking harassment claims going left, right, and centre, right? Like it's not
Fair Work would have a field day, wouldn't they?
It's a pretty and toxic's got a negative connotation, right? I guess it's a negative word, but it's a toxic environment. But fuck, you learn so much, and you get a bit of ticker, and you get a bit of grit and thick skin from it. So I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think if anything, looking from what you see in football, it's probably gone a bit softer. And some of those old school characters and those hard-nosed midfielders that you kind of idolised and looked up to, they're kind of going away a little bit. But mate, the football days we used to have, you've got bullied basically 2 years.
Mate, I remember, I was just thinking then when you said this, I remember picture this, it's England, it's January, it's probably freezing cold, the pitches are wet, it's a training ground in League Two. So it's not pristine like you used to seeing. The goalkeeper's area gets a battering, it's a mud bath. And I remember one day, I'm in this like fucking jumper, trousers, and it's just like soaked through, so it's proper heavy. And like you said, I was a fat goalkeeper at the time. And I literally had a goalkeeper coach as I was diving around, trying to do the drills, slipping around in the mud, like all heavy, like couldn't do it. He stood there going, come on, fat little piggy, move faster. At the time, I was like,
oh, crying.
I was like, you know what? I don't actually want to be a footballer anymore. Like, this is rubbish. But I look back and I'm so thankful for him because it just taught me that relentless brutality mindset that you need to become a professional footballer in England. And I probably think that's why we've had some good success over here in recruitment and in business, because we've just been able to bring that obviously in the right way. Like, we're not out on the office floor calling people fat little piggies, but bringing that mindset and that ability to deal with the negative comments or the harsh feedback. That's probably been one of our superpowers. But fuck, that was a funny story. I remember that day. I was just going, yeah, I'm a fat little piggy.
Even the pressure side of it as well. I remember, to paint a picture, we'd be training on, say, one side of the training ground. You got the first team on the other side when we're in the youth team. And if a couple of first team players got injured, or if you're playing particularly well and they like the look of you, you might get the curly finger to come over and train with the first team. And it's probably a 100-meter walk, right? But fuck me, it felt like a 10-kilometer.
That's just because you were slow.
Yeah, that was my problem. But the nerves and the anxiety and the panic I used to feel, because you're doing exactly what you wanted to do. You can't just say, oh, I'm the best player on the youth team now, and how good's this? Well, yeah, you've done that, and now you earn your shot to go and be with the first team. And I don't know if there's any kind of logic to it, but they don't really treat you nice on purpose. I think they kind of test you, because I guess looking from their point of view is they're playing for their mortgages, they're playing for their families well off, right? So they have this cocky 18-year-old kid coming over who thinks he's better than he is. That's going to put them in danger of missing out on money, which then hurts little Charlie back at home. So it's brutal. You get kicked, you get whacked, you get fucking told to see you NT'd off, all sorts.
Yeah.
And that level of intimidation is, again, it's not nice at the time, but now when I'm going to have a client meeting and I feel some nerves coming or some anxiety, I'm like, oh, it's not as bad as it used to be. There's nothing like it was when I've got, pro footballers on X amount of £1,000 a week with 20 years experience saying like horrible, nasty things.
Jason Taylor.
He's exactly my brain. It's exactly what I'm thinking.
This guy, he's bold. He's from Manchester. Like, he was just a proper hard northerner, wasn't he? And
crap at football.
Yeah, he wasn't a footballer because he was a good footballer. He was just an absolute lunatic. And he would run around the pitch. He would shout at people. He would say all sorts to the opponents, and he would just kick the shit out of people, and he made a good career out of it just from being brutal.
So I think having that level of fear and nervousness at such a young age, again, you just grow so quick. And now coming into a business setting where really, if you're going to go meet with a client, it's because they're half interested in what you do. They half know what you're going to be talking about, right? I haven't really had any big, nasty, scary conversations in recruitment since I've been doing it. I don't think I will in kind of business either. It's all to find a solution. Whereas that wasn't. That was just to make you feel like shit, I think.
Yeah, and I think it helps you to not take things personally. Like, whether a company chooses to use Harwell for their recruitment or not, it's not personal. It's no different back to the football days where you've had 3 bad weeks in a row and the gaffer's got to put someone else in, because if he doesn't get the right formula or the right performance in the team, his job's at risk. If the construction manager for a builder on the Gold Coast doesn't have the right team in place, their job's at risk. So I think we've learned not to take it personally, which has been really good as well. Because I remember in the early days of recruitment when someone would go with a competitor that had been doing it for 15 years, or whether someone didn't want to use us because of the money. That used to hurt me so much, and I just couldn't understand why they couldn't see the value that we can bring to them. And I used to sit in that for days and probably miss out on other opportunities because I was just head down, wallowing in a bit of self-pity. Whereas now we're able to just kind of let that brush off a little bit and we just get on with it. It's not personal.
Can you train resilience without having gone through that kind of stuff, without being called a fat little piggy?
I was going to ask you that question. I was going to say, this is great because we've come from a background of pro sports, but how does someone train that without that background?
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. Now, while I've got your attention, apart from being professional podcasters, we also run a recruitment agency called Harwell Consulting.
Yeah, we're super lucky that we get to partner with some of Australia's most well-known brands and biggest organisations. So if you're keen to hear a little bit more about how we add value to their teams and businesses with the right people, we'll put the links in the show notes, or you can check us out at www.harwellconsulting.com.au. Now enjoy the rest of the show.
I think moving out of home early. We obviously moved to Cheltenham when we were 16, so moved out of home and lived there and played football there, which you've got to grow up pretty quick and you've got to rely on yourself. And then at 19, I moved to Australia. Same thing, right? If you don't go and earn money, you don't pay your rent. There's no one to kind of fall back on over here. So I think you learn to build up that resilience and that self-trust that, I know I can find a way. I don't need to rely on mum or dad or my sister or whatever else to get by. I know I can look after myself, which kind of comes down to business as well, right? If you're talking about that victim versus victor mentality, it's, you could move to the other side of the world and a couple of things don't go your way, you don't get a couple of jobs and you're calling home asking for money, right? And take it with a pinch of salt on the reference, I guess. Or you can go, okay, well, I'm going to get the next job after that, or the next job after that, and keep banging on the door, keep doing job interviews, whatever it is to make it work, rather than go, I've moved over and it's a little bit hard, it's Australia's fault, or, it's this bar's fault because they're not hiring. So many ways you can blame other things and other people in life. It all just comes back to you. And I think A players in particular, if I'm thinking of the kind of people in my head, it's all their own actions. The first thing they ever do is look inwards. What did I do? What was the process? What were the steps? And if there's one half micro step that didn't go as well as it should have, that's where the attention goes. Not potentially to something who is warranted an external factor. Straight away it's looking inwards.
Yeah, I was just thinking then back to our days as scholars, and it's around that learning the hard way. And we moved out of home, and I remembered that when we did move out of home, you had to pay for your digs, and we got paid, I think it was like £83 a week on our scholar, which again, I think Fair Work would have a field day. But we also had to pay for the digs. And in truth, a lot of lads' parents were paying for their digs for them. So that whole £83 was, basically for them to spend. I think I had to put half of mine straight towards my accommodation because my parents couldn't afford to pay for it for me. And at the time, I used to hate it because lads were going around with new Nike Blazers and stuff like that. And I was putting half of my money towards it. But it taught me so many really valuable lessons and made you so resilient because you just had to stay focused and stay disciplined. And even to when I moved out here to Australia, it was all going great. I got a job as a restaurant manager. They were going to give me sponsorship. Like that was my ticket, my golden ticket to Australia. And then COVID happened. And I just met Britt at the time, but we were a month in. So it was never like we're going to live together or we knew we were going to be together for this long. And I remember thinking, what am I going to do? And I actually got to the realization, I was like, I'll sleep on the beach. Like, I actually don't care. Like I would sleep on the beach because I lost my job because it was in hospitality, no support from the government. And I could have felt sorry for myself and just gone home. But I was like, got a few grand tucked away in the bank. I will literally sleep on the beach until all of this blows over and then I'll just get cracking again. And that's the mentality. And I think when you've gone through life experiences like that, which you put yourself through by moving across the other side of the world, leaving home at 16, that's where you learn the lessons of resilience, where when a candidate doesn't take a job because he's decided or his wife's decided it's not for him, that's fine, mate. Don't worry. Like we can let that one brush over.
I think if you're going to be an A player, that means you're taking on responsibility, right? If you're taking on responsibility, it means you've got a certain level of pressure to deliver outcomes for your employer, for your business, for whatever it is. Couple of quotes for you, Harv.
Oh, God.
You can't only be good when it's good.
Is that an Adam Powell original?
Yeah, that's an OG. So what I mean by that is when things are going well, how easy is it to do the habits? Get up at 5 a.m., get up at, go to the gym, go to sleep, eat well. When things get hard, that's when the difference comes. Can you maintain that level of discipline, resilience, ticking over the right things to do, even when everything else around you is probably giving you a nudge to lay off? Oh, come on, you've had a big couple of weeks. Maybe you don't need to go to the gym. Maybe you can go and get on the piss. So I think that's a massive one. And another one for you is Jack Grealish special. Pressure is a privilege.
Yeah, okay.
You like that one?
Yeah, I do. I just want to go back to that other one that you said about doing the hard stuff when life gets hard. When you've been in that situation before, if I'm someone now listening going, yeah, that's all well and good, but everything in your mind is telling you not to get up at 4 a.m. and go do that gym session because life's hard and you're feeling a bit depressed. What did Mr. Adam Powell do to push through those moments?
I think it's recognizing the guilt of not doing them. I don't think this is healthy really, but now the routine's been so good for so long. If I do miss a day, if I do eat shit, whatever it is, the guilt kills me more than the pain of doing the task, going to the gym, whatever it is. So for me, it's like, okay, I know if I'm going to lie in bed here for an extra hour, I'm not going to feel great with an extra hour's sleep. That's just the way it goes. I'm going to feel like a bit of a loser if I don't go and do what I've committed to doing in my own head as well. And then there's probably accountability around you too. I don't think it's all has to come down to you. I think there's also power in, if I know, and again, probably not healthy, right? If I bowled into the office, hey, Harz, didn't go to the gym this morning, had a line, you would go, loser. And I'll do the same to you, right? To a level, right? If it got serious and stuff, obviously we support each other. But for the most part, if it's just, I couldn't be asked, you'd expect a bit of stick as well, which is, it keeps you accountable to the commitments that you've told everyone else you're going to get to as well. And speaking more about being a leader, which typically A players become because people want them to copy their habits, is if we're not going to stick to our word, if we're not going to follow the promises that we keep to ourselves, if we're not going to set the standards, there's no way we can come into the office, do a team meeting and go, guys, okay, why is the energy flat today? If I'm here half asleep because I've got out of bed 10 minutes before I was meant to be here, or I've went and got a double sausage egg McMuffin from Macca's instead of my normal smoothie, right? I think that level of pressure that comes from one being an A player and then being pushed up to a leadership role or someone that gets looked up to kind of has to keep you there as well, because it's a very, very fast and slippery slope away from that level if your habits do stop.
That's what I was about to say. Is like I don't want people to think that we're sat here on our high horse and saying that we've cracked the code. I snoozed my alarm 3 times this morning.
Loser.
Thanks. And I'd had a lazy weekend. Like I wanted to have a lazy weekend, but then it's now switching back into that routine. Yesterday was easy because it was a run with a few other lads, so I was letting other people down if I didn't turn up. But this morning it was a gym session by myself, and I snoozed my alarm 3 times, and then on the 3rd time, I think probably had a epiphany of Pally sat there saying loser, and I was like, nah, get up, go to the gym, you idiot. And even now, you still have that daily battle, but it goes back to just knowing yourself and recognizing my day today would have been absolutely rubbish. Sat here on this podcast, I'd have been flat as if I didn't go and do that. So it's learning what gets you ticking in the morning and just having the self-discipline to stick to it.
This is one, I was just getting another quote. I've got so many here. And this is, everything is your fault, right? Everything that happens to you in business, probably in life as well, is your fault. And it's a result of the actions you've taken prior to that moment, right? Which is quite freeing. I think I posted a fair bit on LinkedIn about this being, as soon as you take ownership for absolutely everything that happens, then you can dictate what happens next time. Whereas if you continue to blame other things, other factors, you're at the mercy of someone else's decision the whole time. Where, like, talking back in our world now, if we do, we're finding a project manager for a developer builder, right? If we do every single step, every micro step to the absolute 100% of our ability of what we can at that time, and then it doesn't work out, you can kind of go, that is one for the books, one for the numbers. That's not really, what more could you do? Whereas if you just go, I half-assed the process, and then the client turned around and said, didn't want anything, you're blaming the client for that. Whereas probably a question you could have asked earlier on about, Mr. Client, is there anything I haven't asked? Is there anything I'm missing here? What risk have I got of spending 40 hours to go and find this person? You asked the question, now you've got the answer. And it might go, I've actually got someone on a third interview I'm meeting tomorrow. Great. Amazing. Thanks for sharing. Why don't we hold fire 24 hours? If you love them, job done. If not, we can go and carry on with the plan of attack.
Yeah, I think that ownership piece it's so powerful. And not just in the business world, like even back to in the personal world. And we talk about getting up and going to the gym. It's just the full ownership of, because I've been there. I've been feeling depressed, don't want to get up in the morning, but it's back to the ownership of going, okay, what are the things in my control? I can go to the gym if I want to, like I physically can. And I know that's going to make me feel better. So if I just go and tick those small boxes that I know at least will lift me 5 or 10% throughout the day, everything else might handle itself, or at least when the shit things do come, I'll be able to consume them or handle them a little bit better. So it's no different to in personal life or business life. When you can switch your mind and mentality to ownership, that's where the real magic is. It's really freeing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Big time, because you're in control. You're not waiting on someone else to decide your life for you. It's scary for sure, because then there's nowhere to hide. Everything that does or doesn't happen is your fault. But on the flip side, for Harwell, right? Like, we've created this puppy, nearly 2 years in business. We haven't been handed anything from everyone. We've had help along the way, and people have wanted to help us, I think, because we've shown the right level of enthusiasm, commitment, and effort to warrant people's help. But it definitely hasn't been given willy-nilly. But none of us come from wealthy backgrounds. Everything we've kind of got up until this point, we've got ourselves as well. So I think you just learn to rely on yourself, and even now rely on each other. And know that really, I don't want to tempt fate here, but unless a meteor hits the earth, which is the old favourite.
Oh, fuck, I hope not.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing that's going to stop us from just keep kicking on, right?
Yeah.
As long as nothing unexpected without our control happens.
And it kind of bleeds into the last point we want to make on this mentality piece before we go on to the third kind of topic. And it's that mindset of them versus them, or yourself versus yourself. It's, okay, I know that if I go to the gym 3 times a week, I'm probably doing it more than 70 or 80% of the world, but I could beat myself and go 4 times a week. And then next week I could beat myself again and go 5 times a week. And that's what we truly see A players nail, is it's never looking around at the other people around them like, okay, I'm the best talent manager on the Gold Coast here, I could probably just cruise for a little bit. It's like, no, I want to be the best talent manager in my own head. And you just keep trying to one up yourself. And it's just that proactiveness to go and keep learning, that growth mindset. That's a really powerful mentality to be able to adopt.
And that's a real life story. That best talent manager in Australia and Gold Coast, that was yesterday with Jackie. We do kind of onboarding questions, which, to be fair, came a little bit late for her. She's been here for a while. But
mid-boarding.
And it was kind of asking, what gives you fulfillment in work and life? What's going to be the reason you quit this job if you do? Really powerful questions, which we've got thanks to Jess Cameron as well. Made my heart smile when she was like, I just want to be the best I can be. I'm not competing against someone else. It's really me v me and being better than I was last week. And Jackie, for someone with no recruitment experience, to where she is now 4 months later, an absolute genuine A player. She's incredible.
Yeah. And it kind of touches a little bit on comparison is the thief of joy. You can sit there and Jackie could compare herself to even other people in this room who in some areas of talent management have been doing it for longer and potentially doing it better. But she's not having that battle going, oh yeah, but they've done it. And that's what I did so much in recruitment in the early days. I'm like, why can't I bill 40K like so-and-so who's been doing it for 15 years? And that used to hurt me. Whereas if it was just a competition against myself, just making sure every single week I get to the end of the week, I look back at Monday and go, cool, I'm a better person or a better recruiter than I was on Monday. And on next Monday, I'm going to go and do it all again.
I reckon you're full of shit.
What do you mean?
There's no way you looked at the board and said, oh yeah, it doesn't matter if I'm not doing 40K.
No, I'm saying I didn't.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I used to fucking hurt myself.
But I think that's good as well. You need the healthy balance.
Yeah, I used to punish myself every month. I'd be like, why am I only on 15K? There's someone over there on 50K, but they've been recruiting in that space for 50. They've been recruiting in that space for 15 years, and that's what hurt me. But I'm talking Jackie today, in today's age, to have that and kind of just go, it's me against me. Yes, she's got the right motivation and the right attitude to be able to have that battle because she's not lazy. But I think it was really, really impressive of her.
So we found the A player, right? We know they've got the good lifestyle. Mentally, they're absolutely rock solid. And say you're lucky enough to attract one, or you're lucky enough to be in a group of them. What's important to absolutely maximize the value and the impact that A player can have for you, do you think?
I think a clear direction. Like A players are A players because they're working towards a goal. They have a mission or an outcome they need to achieve, and they're just head down, super motivated to go and get there and achieve that outcome and mission. I think A players that don't have direction and things change for no reason, or it's just there's no real outcome, they just get bored or they lose direction. And that's probably where they start looking elsewhere for a different environment, a different employer.
I think that's the beauty of being a company like ours as well, is we don't know where the end goal is. We haven't got...
Yeah, it's contradictory.
Well, we change all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So what we do particularly well, I think now, is we share the story and we share the intention, and then we set that as kind of the guidelines to work within. This is my last and final quote.
Oh my God. How many Rosie, have you got the quote counter on from ads? Yeah.
But this one actually is trademarked as well. So feel free to use it in your life, but you do owe me $5.
That's cheap. He's probably going to fuck it up.
So you got to sell your vision and then set the mission.
Oh, that is good.
That's $10 then. Bang.
Chad GPT. Probably
that was all me, that one.
Paley GPT. Talk to us about that one, mate. Sell the vision, set the mission.
So I think it gives people enough leash to understand where you want to go and what the vision is to then go and deliver, rather than keep them too tightly boxed in. The reason you're hiring an A player, the reason we've hired Rosie, is because we don't know a lot about marketing, social media, branding, presence, analytics. So for us to then put her in a box and say, oh, this is what you must do based off our limited knowledge, you're going against the whole point of hiring an A player. And if that's the way you think it's done best, save yourself a bit of money and hire a C grader.
Mate, you're actually on the right track here. Like this quote, thank you. This quote should be trademarked, because Hormozy said something very, very, very similar on a recent podcast I listened to. And he said micromanagement is just a sign that you're not hiring A players, because what micromanagement effectively means is that you think you can do their job better than them. Why the fuck have you hired them?
Bang on. And that's probably at some level insecurity of the leader as well, because we're essentially giving away control here. Yeah. So Rosie's going to take the reins on all the social media, all the marketing, which obviously there's going to be input and we're going to support and whatever else. But really, it's going to be her baby to kind of drive, which I'm not really that scared because I know how good she is. But you could be scared if you hired someone who's a bit shit and you didn't think they had the capability to go and do it really well.
I have heard rumors of you doing some TikTok dances though, so I would be scared if I was you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Environment. What other people we've got here on our little preparation whiteboard, because last time we didn't do this, we fucked it. The 5 people of influence rule. Tell us about that, mate.
I want to go back to a personal one with this.
Okay.
I think this is difficult when you're in that transition mode of who you are at that time and who you want to become. You've got to have some really hard realizations with the people you're currently hanging around with all the time. Are they the type of people who are going to help you become the person you want to become? And it doesn't need to be so cutthroat. Like, as in, I'm never going to speak to you again. I think you just got to limit your exposure or to certain parts of your life. Like, there's people I literally don't speak to anymore, not because they're bad people, but I just don't do the things that I did 3 years ago. And that was the only time I'd see them in those circumstances. And now I do spend a lot more time with people who are on the journey with us at this stage, or hopefully a further beyond as well, and just try and soak in how they live their life, what kind of conversations they're having, what are their takes on certain things in life and in business, how they're using AI, and just learn by osmosis and being around it. And I think you get a lot more fulfillment by doing that as well, because you don't need to blur the lines of friends, business, partner. If you can have it all kind of mold into one, and you don't need to change your face depending on what situation you're in, it's not exhausting. You can kind of be authentic in every aspect and every minute of the day.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily meaning you have to surround yourself with 5 super impressive business people, but the 5 people closest to you, do they each have one individual thing that they're better than you at, and do they lift it? So again, back to Britt, my partner, she's been great for me in terms of that diet, healthy mindset, and having a bit more of a holistic, or what we call a wizardy approach to life, because I was so obsessed over the micro. So she's not started a $10 million business that we can learn from, but she's made me so much better in so many areas of my life. And then we spend time with people like Ryan Tuckwood or Matt Cossons, Blake and Deck from Ex-Recruiter. They have done the business side of things, so they lift us in that area. There's just so many different levels, but as long as you've got a good mix of 5 people around you that you can categorically say they are way better than me at 1 or 2 things here, then you know that you're on the right track. If you're looking around and starting to go in, well, I'm growing and no one else is, that's where it's very dangerous. And I think Chris Williamson said it on a podcast. He's like, he'd go back to his hometown after going on this journey where he used to be a nightclub promoter. He used to be on the streets of Magaluf, come on ladies, come on in, €5 and all that. Now he's super successful podcaster, I think based in Miami, whatever it might be. Whenever he goes home to his own town, everyone goes, oh, you've changed. He's like, I haven't changed, I've just grown. But you lot are all in this little bubble, so you don't see growth. You don't know what that means.
And it's scary because they haven't grown, right?
Yeah. Probably going to piss a few people off by saying that. So
you always do, mate. And I think, again, back to Bartlett, he's kind of like a podcast dad, isn't he? We just basically copy all his stuff.
Yeah, we've just rewritten all of his old podcast episodes.
He had one where he's talking about A players only want to work with A players. So if you're going to attract A players, you've got to kind of act as one yourself, and you've got to build that capability, because then what will happen is, say you're the A player at the top of the tree. If you're in a big business, you hire a management team full of A players, they're only going to accept A players beneath you as well. And on the flip side, if your management teams are B players or C players, they're probably not going to want to hire A players underneath them, because that's then going to highlight some of their inefficiencies, some of the areas of weakness they might have, and potentially could jeopardize their own career growth. And at the end of the day, we're all selfish, right? We all look out for number one, and we all want to give ourselves the best opportunities and possibilities we can. So hiring someone who you know is probably better than you isn't a smart idea if that's the way you think.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think you've nailed it there, mate. Is that everything? We've covered it.
What's a recap then, mate? So what's an A player? What goes into it? How can they become one? And then how do you keep one? Or how do you surround yourself with more of them?
Yeah, so I think we've obviously got the 3 main points. It's that lifestyle, what they're doing in work, what they're doing away from work. I don't think there's separation there. I think if someone is disciplined away from work, they're disciplined within work, and vice versa. If their life away from work is a shit show, I think their work's a shit show. So that's one massive one. The mentality piece is huge. There's obviously lots and lots and lots of levels to that. But the 3 kind of key areas that we've highlighted of mentality is that resilience. And you've got to probably reflect a little bit on life and find, what are the lessons in life where I have learnt resilience? For us, it's a professional sports environment. For other people, it might be childhood trauma. It might be moving across the other side of the world. But find the things that you've learnt resilience and really lean into that. Ownership is massive. Stop blaming other people. Like, you can blame other people. No, it's not going to fucking fix your problems. Just reflect, take ownership yourself, and then how can I improve here? And the last one, it's that growth mindset. You're always learning. You're always looking to get better. And then the final one, obviously more recent, we've just covered, is environment. And that's the circle of people around you, standards that you set to yourself, and then obviously that vision. What's your quote, mate?
You've got to sell the vision, and then you've got to set the mission.
Yeah.
TM.
Mic drop. Now, I hope that people can see a lot of value. I know we've not really spoke about how to hire A players. Maybe that's another episode, because a lot of people listening to this are business owners or want to start growing a business. So that's another one we can delve into. But if someone is looking to become an A player in their life, they're probably the areas they need to start.
And the beauty of all of that you've just run through there, it's all a choice. You don't need to wait for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, do you want to come to A player camp?
Hang on, that's a new business idea.
There we go. Now it's cooking. High performance Harvey's a coach. But you can choose to have a better lifestyle. You can choose to drink a little bit less, eat a bit better, go to the gym, go to sleep a bit better. You can choose to take ownership, like take everything as your fault, make better decisions along the way. And you can choose to surround with people who are already further ahead in the journey than you. The impact that'll have in a short amount of time, you'll feel like a different person within 3 months.
Yeah, and do you know what? This might be a little bit brutal, but if you don't want to make all those changes, you don't fucking want it that much. And the sooner you can shift your mindset to being comfortable with just being average, you're going to stop punishing yourself. Because I did it for so long. I wanted to be super impressive, but I didn't want to make the lifestyle changes to match it. And it was a horrible place to be inside my head. So the sooner you can actually go, actually, I do want it, and I'm going to make the sacrifices, or fuck, I clearly don't want it that much. It puts that to bed. I
think in the way the world's gone these ways, everyone just wants that quick win. They want that get rich quick scheme. And again, I was fucking terrible for it. Like crypto, yeah, sweet. Let's make a bit of money here. All those little things where I can do minimal effort but get maximum, I guess, output as well, which as you get a bit older and a little bit wiser, you just know the beauty is in the work. The end goal, even if it is the same end goal, if you've done years of work to get there, you'll appreciate it so much more than if you'd be able to flick a switch and then you've got this amazing life. Because then you've got all the guilt, I haven't earned it, I don't deserve this. All of those kind of toxic thoughts that'll come into your head because you haven't done the groundwork to get there. So enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Beautiful. Real quickly at the end, question time.
Oh, this popped off last time.
Yeah, this was really good. Remember, we've actually decided I've got to start sharing the questions with ads before the episode, because otherwise he's like, fuck, I don't know. So now, first one's from Colin. Absolute legend of a man, Arch Brokerage. If you need any financing needs, get on to Cole. But I said, what was to him, what's the one question, recruitment specific, that you loved answered? And he said, I think for me, mate, the big question at the moment is, do I get someone who is a generalist or a specialist? And what he means by that is, in mortgage broking, there are a lot of different positions and facets of the business. So does he get someone who has a really good understanding of the whole process and plug them into various areas as needed? Or do I get someone who specializes in doing one part of the process really, really well? So that might be someone who's a gun at credit skills or great with customers, for example.
Good question, Cole. That's a brain scratcher, that.
Oh, Pally's done it again.
Depends on the size of your business. I think if you're a small business like us, I think Cole's probably a similar size.
Yeah.
I think you need a generalist. I think you need someone who can have fingers in a lot of pies and do a lot of different tasks. And then, because they're the A player, they want to learn, they want to get better, and you're an A player, a leader, you can then put more onus and responsibility on a certain area of the business, which will have the most impact and generate the most revenue. I think if you just hire a specialist, and this probably goes into more of the way of thinking, some of these books that we're going through, Good to Great and things like that, about replacing yourself. Oh, sorry, it's who, not how, isn't it? Really special. Getting yourself out of the weeds in the business. So if you only have specialists, there's going to be so many areas they can't do, which then means as a business owner, you've kind of got to pick up the slack.
Yeah, I think so. I think you probably then create more layers of people you need. You can have a gun specialist in every little sector, but then you still need a GM or an ops manager to oversee them, which is another layer of complexity, another salary that might not be revenue generating. I know we try and group our kind of process into two areas. So in the recruitment world, we have talent managers who handle that candidate process, and then we have consultants which do more so the client side. Yes, there's naturally some crossover from both directions. I think that's important because you need them to understand it, but we have people that are very specialist in a few different areas at the start of the journey and the back end, for example. That's probably the best way I think I can relate it back to our business.
So Cole, generalist, make it happen.
There you go, Cole. No worries. Next, Sari, super impressive young lady.
I'm a massive fan of Sari's.
Yeah, Ads actually saw her content on Instagram and thought, like, who's this chick? Like, is she an influencer? But she's an avid listener of the pod, which is great. She's got a lemonade business and she's looking to grow. And she said, why would somebody decide to change from a sole trader to a company.
Does she mean kind of the technicalities of it, or in terms of the mindset of growing and getting people?
More so the technicalities,
Okay.
the benefits of it.
I guess speaking from our own experience, this is the only company we've ever had, right? But you can put things through the business. Is that the kind of the angle we're going down, like the cars and?
I think so. Yeah.
So
she knows she for context, she's decided she wants to grow the business. Cool. So
I think there's probably two answers. And I think there's a nitty gritty, which people can talk about way more than we can, about putting cars for the business, tax benefits. You know, you clean your house because it's a home office through the business.
You don't do that, do you?
No, you do. Even, accommodation if you're going away and it's a work trip and you might have a couple of days as well, benefits like that. But I think the real value comes in multiplying the output. I think that's going to save you more than saving a little bit of tax here and there ever will. So being able to have people who can, and I think she did it over the weekend that I saw. I think she was away at Blues Fest and then she had people running the stalls for her. Yeah. Right. So she's not the one literally pouring the lemonade. I'm sure she has a bit of involvement in making it maybe. Yeah. But then she can work on some bigger picture, creative ideas, how to grow the business further. As a sole trader, you're probably struggling to do that because all your time spent in the weeds rather than looking at the systems and the processes and the opportunities to grow and be able to get more people in to help.
Yeah, it's the scalability for me, I think, is massive. Yes, you have all the benefits of you kind of de-risk your personal assets and whatnot as a PTY LTD. You probably have more credibility. I don't know why, but I think if someone sees a proper business entity, I think they're more likely to do business with you, especially with the journey she wants to go on of stocking in retailers.
Awesome.
But it's just the scalability. Like you said, it's the potential to step back and work on the business. You probably translate it to being a Sparky. Do you want to be on the tools till the very end? If you don't, you probably need to be a registered company and look to build out a team and a structure around you.
Gold.
Done. No worries. Last one was from Riley. He actually sent me about 50 questions. Some of them were highly inappropriate, but I think the most one was, do you feel that the content you guys are putting out online is truly your authentic self?
Great question. Short answer, yes. I think it really is. And that's one thing we focused on so much from day one. It was breaking off the shackles, a little bit of working for a big corporate agency where you've got to use certain tone of voice, certain style of branding, which fair enough, right, for sure. But that wasn't us. So now coming into Harwell, when we were like, well, mate, there's no one to tell us what to do here. We can actually do whatever we want. So why don't we just do what we're like normally as normal people and just see how that comes across? Because we do think recruitment's quite an old school, traditional industry that hasn't necessarily kept up with the times. If you look at real estate, for example, yes, someone might work for Koloshi, but it's their own personal brand within Koloshi. So I think, that authentic sale is massive because what you do then, you also attract the right kind of people who you want to do business with. And if people think we're twats, we'll deselect and they'll kind of disqualify themselves, which again, happy days, right? We're not the right people for everyone. And we're not the right recruitment agency for everyone too. So the more you can work with people who are aligned with your values, with your interests, with the way you think business should be done, the more fulfilling your life's going to be.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of our values is authenticity. And we've probably learned the hard way on some things. Like there's probably some stuff we've put online where we've been too authentic and we've looked back and gone, not sure that was the right decision.
The hot tour once.
Oh, God. Ads put some LinkedIn post of like this hot tour thing. He's like, that's all right, innit, mate? I was like, I don't know, mate. I don't think so. But ultimately, like you said, people work with us because of us. And the people that think we're idiots, like I said, it's probably something that we're not going to be the right people for them, so we're not going to get value for their business and vice versa. But I think the consumer world is changing. Gone of the days of a faceless brand. There is so much option out there, whether it's trades, recruitment, real estate. People, you need to win people over because of the person you are. And even Riley, I think he's way further down this journey than us. And I remember early on, before I knew him, I thought, fuck me, the guy's content is class. I feel like I know him. I know his team. It's different. It stood out from the crowd a little bit. So that really shows the importance of being authentic and doing things differently.
One thing that we've made a really purposeful decision to try and implement is more variety of content. It's so easy just to post the funny stuff that gets likes and a few laughs, but is that really targeting the audience who hopefully are going to pay us a bit of money, keep the lights on? I think the best post of last year, you know what's coming here, the best performing post in terms of LinkedIn last year, in terms of impressions and views, it was, if you ever feel bad about wasting money, just know that Harvey Rivers spent $60 on a haircut.
Yeah, that one hurt. Rosie, don't laugh.
Incredibly funny, but is, John, the construction manager of a tier 2 $100 million business, gonna look at that and go, yeah, that's a recruiter for me? Maybe, probably not. So I think now we've really tried to split up the content to talk directly to the target audience, speak to their challenges, their pain points, offer them solutions for free, not and try and offer value for free to the audience as well, whilst also showing behind the scenes of Harwell what we do, a bit of our personal life too. We love the Gold Coast, so we'll post a sunrise here and there as well. Finding the balance, I think, is a truly authentic way to go.
Yeah, mate, I think you nailed it there. I think that's a great way to finish. That was a good one. That was way better. We did a bit more planning. I think it was way better. But next week, we sit down with a seriously, seriously impressive man. He quite literally coaches culture and values and leadership to some of the executives of Australia's biggest companies.
The way he described it was, when you're driving into Brisbane and you're coming over the bridge, all of the companies that are on top of the big high rises, yeah, that's his clients.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, you're cool.
Yeah, there's going to be some good value on that one.
Yeah.
So hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next week.
See you next time. Remember, if you use my saying, you owe me $5.
Oh, it was 10.
10 will do.
All right.